The lights dimmed inside the Alamodome, and the air itself seemed to pulse with tension. San Antonio, Texas, a city where boxing history often finds its heartbeat, now hosting a clash of wills that few could have predicted would become one of the sport's defining nights. Adrien "the Problem" Broner entered the ring as the brash, confident, and unbeaten prodigy, a self-proclaimed heir to Floyd Mayweather's throne. He danced, he smiled, he talked, but beneath the swagger was a man desperate to prove that his talent could silence any doubt. Across the ring, Marcos Maidana stood still and unblinking, a rugged Argentine brawler who spoke little but fought like a storm. His gloves were heavy with intention, his eyes filled with vengeance for every time boxing overlooked him. The ring announcer's voice rolled through the crowd, a three-division champion from Cincinnati versus a relentless warrior from Santa Fe. When the bell rang for round one, it wasn't just a fight. It was a collision between arrogance and grit, a test of whether flair could survive fury. Maidana wasted no time. He came forward like a force of nature, swarming Broner with a barrage of wild, looping punches that rattled against the guard and body. The young champion leaned back, smiling, trying to roll the shots off his shoulders, but the impact was unmistakable. Each punch carried raw aggression, the kind that ignores technique in pursuit of pain. The Argentine threw his right hand like a hammer and followed it with a sweeping left, making Broner's back hit the ropes again and again. The crowd roared, sensing something different. The aura of invincibility around Broner was cracking. Maidana wasn't intimidated by speed or swagger. He was there to break the rhythm, to take away time and space. As the first round ended, Broner walked to his corner with forced confidence, but his eyes betrayed him. He had never felt this kind of pressure. Across the ring, Maidana exhaled and smiled faintly. He had found his rhythm in chaos, and he knew the storm had only begun. Then came the second round, the turning point that would rewrite reputations. Maidana stalked forward again, and before Broner could adjust, a crushing overhand right detonated on his jaw. The American's legs stiffened, and his body folded awkwardly to the canvas. For the first time in his career, Adrien Broner was down. The arena erupted. The crowd, part shocked, part thrilled, witnessed a man who once called himself the next big thing crawling to his knees, eyes glazed, searching for balance. Maidana didn't celebrate. He advanced again, like a predator sensing weakness. Broner tried to hold, to recover, but the Argentine's power wouldn't allow it. Body shots thudded, hooks looped over his defense, and desperation filled the champion's every movement. Somehow Broner survived the round, but his body language told the truth. He wasn't dictating the fight anymore. From that moment, the narrative shifted completely. Maidana wasn't the underdog. He was the executioner of hype, determined to tear through everything Broner represented. Rounds 3 and 4 saw Broner trying to reassemble himself, flicking jabs, rolling shoulders, pretending he still controlled the pace. But Maidana never respected illusions. He closed distance, digging hooks to the ribs, overhand rights that grazed the temple, and uppercuts that broke Broner's rhythm again and again. Each exchange took a little more out of the champion. Broner's trademark defense, the shoulder roll, wasn't working against Maidana's unpredictable rhythm. The Argentine threw punches from impossible angles, never in sequence, never with mercy. The crowd began chanting for Maidana, sensing that something historic was happening. Broner, used to being the showman, was now the hunted. His corner urged him to use his jab, to control range. But it was too late. The rhythm of the fight belonged to El Chino. When the fourth round ended, Broner's face showed swelling and disbelief. Maidana, breathing heavy but proud, knew he was ahead. He had broken through the wall of arrogance and exposed the human beneath. By the midway point, the fifth and sixth rounds turned into a war of wills. Maidana, relentless as ever, kept pounding the body. Short hooks, looping rights, grinding pressure that suffocated Broner's style. Yet even in the chaos, Broner showed flashes of his brilliance. crisp counters, sudden bursts of speed, moments that reminded everyone why he was champion. But every time he landed clean, Maidana answered with interest, firing back with 3 more punches, each thrown with bad intentions. The exchanges became violent poetry, power versus precision, pride versus punishment. The Argentine would not be denied. He had spent years chasing the spotlight that Broner inherited with words instead of wars. Now, under the hot lights of San Antonio, he was taking it by force. The crowd was no longer watching a fight. They were witnessing the unraveling of an image, the stripping away of ego until only courage remained. As the 7th and 8th rounds unfolded, Broner tried to rally. He landed sharp combinations, uppercuts that found their mark, and even forced Maidana back momentarily, but the momentum wouldn't stay. Late in the 8th, Maidana struck again, a brutal left hook that sent Broner crashing down for the 2nd time. The audience erupted in disbelief. 2 knockdowns, 2 moments of humiliation for the man who once danced after every victory. Maidana stood tall, chest heaving, knowing he was now in control of destiny. Broner, on his knees, pounded the canvas in frustration before rising. He survived again, but the damage, physical and psychological, was done. In between rounds, his corner begged him to dig deep, to fight for pride if nothing else. His eyes were glassy, his breathing heavy. Across the ring, Maidana's trainers shouted in Spanish, urging him to finish the job. It wasn't just about winning a belt. It was about respect, redemption, and revenge for every underdog who had ever been dismissed. The 9th and 10th rounds were pure attrition, a test of endurance and heart. Maidana's power had not faded, his aggression still burning, though his punches now came slower. Broner, battered but brave, tried to reclaim fragments of his confidence. He fought with desperation, exchanging blows, standing his ground. But each time he stepped forward, Maidana met him with thunder. Hooks dug into the ribs, right hands crashed against the temple. The noise from the crowd became a wall of sound. Every punch echoed through the dome like an explosion. Broner's guard was tighter, but his offense was fading. He landed clean shots, yet they did nothing to deter the Argentine's march. Maidana was bleeding, bruised, but unbroken. The willpower of the man from Santa Fe was more powerful than any strategy. Round after round, he imposed himself not just physically, but spiritually, proving that hunger can conquer talent when belief is absolute. By round 11, both men were exhausted, their faces swollen, their lungs burning. The canvas was a battlefield of sweat and heart. Maidana, still pressing forward, looked to close the show, throwing overhand rights and body hooks that punished Broner's frame. The American tried to hold, to counter, to survive, but every second felt heavier than the last. The crowd could sense the inevitable. Broner's magic had vanished, replaced by grit and pain. Yet, in those final moments, he showed a different kind of courage. No longer the showman or the taunter, Broner became a fighter. He threw back with defiance, his punches no longer crisp, but full of soul. Maidana kept coming, relentless until the bell. The 11th ended in a roar. Both men spent, both men defiant, both refusing to yield. The 12th and final round was less about skill and more about survival. Broner needed a knockout. Maidana only needed to stay standing. The Argentine continued pressing forward, trading hooks, landing body shots that echoed through the arena. Broner fought back with what was left, a champion's pride, swinging wildly, trying to reclaim honor in defeat. The seconds ticked down as the crowd stood in ovation, knowing they had witnessed something raw and real. When the final bell rang, Maidana raised his arms to the sky, tears mixing with sweat. Broner slumped into the ropes, shaking his head, the look of disbelief carved across his bruised face. He had entered the ring unbeaten and untouchable. He left it humbled and human. When the judges' scorecards were read, the result was clear. Marcos Maidana had done it. A unanimous decision, a performance that defied every odd and silenced every critic. Adrien Broner, the problem, had been solved. As the announcer declared, the new welterweight champion of the world, Marcos El Chino Maidana, the arena exploded. The Argentine fell to his knees, overwhelmed. He had walked through fire and conquered the man the sport said couldn't be beaten. For Broner, the loss was devastating, a shattering of illusion, a reminder that boxing punishes arrogance but rewards courage. As Maidana left the ring that night, he carried more than a title. He carried the respect of the world, and long after the lights dimmed in San Antonio, fans remembered that December night, not for Broner's downfall, but for Maidana's redemption, a night when heart outlasted hype and willpower rewrote destiny.